Hello everybody, this is Herb from Jackson Graphics and DTF.Jackson.Graphics, which is our DTF store where you can upload your image and we will print it out and send it to you. What I have on slate for today is I want to help solve for you one of the biggest challenges we face as t-shirt makers when we're trying to get images ready for DTF, and that is the transparent pixel or the semi-transparent pixel. Fully transparent pixels are great because nothing prints there. And what happens is most of the tools that we use to create t-shirt graphics or to edit images to make them ready for t-shirt graphics, the default masking settings or the default pixel selection settings on almost all of these tools gives you a kind of a halo effect of semi-transparent pixels because they're trying to give you a soft edge, which in most cases, I guess for graphics, that's what you kind of want. You don't want hard edges. But for us, when we're trying to print it, we want hard edges. And the reason is because our DTF printers will print white behind every single pixel, whether it's a full color pixel, fully non-transparent or fully opaque, or if even pixels that are semi-transparent or partially transparent, like if you've got a fade. So there's a couple of things you can do. One is you could use half toning and try to pull those out, and there are a lot of tools out there to do that. Sometimes half toning doesn't give us the visual effect that we want. Sometimes we don't want that comic book feel. Sometimes we just want to pull out those black pixels so that we can print it on a black t-shirt and get a breathable image. And so that's kind of the problem we're trying to solve today. We're going to extract the black out of a t-shirt, and you could apply this to any color you want. If you have some blue in the design on a blue t-shirt, you can pull out the blue. It's the same process, but we're going to talk about how we do that with black on a black t-shirt because frankly, that's most of what we make. A lot of times if you're printing on a white shirt and you pull out the background, for instance, it doesn't really hurt you because you're printing white ink behind those transparent, semi-transparent pixels, so it doesn't really hurt you. So without further ado, we're going to talk about this. And we get sent a lot of images that come from ChatGPT or some other AI software. And so that's kind of where I want to start because we can kind of work through together the challenges that we have. So let's do this real quick. Since we're a motorcycle page, let's say I need a t-shirt design that will be printed on DTF for a black shirt. I want the image to depict an old school biker who is relatively young, perhaps 35 years old, with no helmet but a backwards ball cap instead, wearing a black t-shirt. There is also young on the back seat of the bike with dark brown hair set in a long ponytail, wearing a red t-shirt. They are riding an old school cruiser motorcycle on a lonely stretch of highway in a wooded area with a setting sun, with a partly cloudy sky and a setting sun. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let's see what ChatGPT gives us, and I'll edit it out this time so we're not sitting here waiting on this. Okay, we're back, and this is the image that I got from ChatGPT, and right now it's kind of a blocky shape thing. I want to kind of chop out some of these edges, kind of a choppy silhouette so that we can get a nicer image for a t-shirt. So let me see if I can get ChatGPT to help me. I need the edges to be less boxy, perhaps with a choppy vignette effect so that it will not be so placard-like on the shirt. To clarify further, I want a softer transition between the image and the black shirt so I can knock out the black color and not have such a blocky shirt. See what GPT does with this. I've never used it like this. And again, I'm going to send this, and then I'm going to take the processing time out so you're not have to watch through that. All right, I've come back to kind of let you see the new prompt. I edited it. As I was reading it, it didn't read correctly, so I edited it a little bit so that it didn't misunderstand me. All right, so we're back, and this is what ChatGPT came back with. There's some issues with it, like the motorcycles riding down the middle of the road, which is not something we'd want to do in real life, but we'll just go with this for now. Okay, so I'm going to download this, I think. All right, there it is. And I think I'm actually going to go into Kittle. The reason I would like to use Kittle is because sometimes, like when I get to these customer art, it's just straight out of ChatGPT and it doesn't have the resolution I need or any of that. So what I'm going to do here is create a new project, and we'll just pick the t-shirt option just because it gives a really big canvas. And then we'll drop this image right on it. One of the things that I really like Kittle for is its ability to do the upscaling. So if I go here and pick upscale, it will take whatever image comes out of ChatGPT, which isn't usually that great, and it will increase the resolution without losing any quality of the intended image, which I think is a fantastic feature. And then I'm going to download this, and I'm going to go ahead and increase this to 3x just to make sure. So now I have that image, which is this one here. Now that I have that, let's close this little sample that I was doing. This is kind of my screen printing board. I'll just use this. We'll just pull that image into here. So there's that image. Let's bring it in. Let's do a couple things. Let's crop it. Get it as close to the edge. So we have as close to the end image size that we're intending to have. Okay, and you can see it already grabbed the transparency or the alpha channel from the image. So let's just kind of shrink this up a little bit. Let's turn off all these other layers. Let's put this image that we just did. Is that? Yeah, let's put that on screen one, just so it'll be on a layer. All right, so there's that. Now I'm going to set this at 11.5 inches wide. Let me make sure this little link button is selected, because that's going to help make sure that when that image is sized, it's sized proportionally. Now we have this image, and one of the issues that I have sometimes when we bring the images in from another software, the transparency isn't where I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and put another layer. I'm going to put it underneath this one. And I'm going to go to the pixel tool. I'm going to go to my fill tool, and I'm going to pick black. And see why I do that. Another thing that I typically do too is I go to the CMYK sliders, and I bump all these sliders all the way up to 100%, so I get 100% black. Now, this is why I don't typically like how some software outputs the edges. So I'm going to go into that, and we're going to do a first pass of trying to get that junk out of there. So let's go to here to our flood pixel select. And what that does is when you select something, it will select all of that color in the image, or you can set it to contiguous, so it just selects that color that's beside itself, and you can set tolerances for that. So I'm gonna bring that up just a little bit, see how that goes when I pick this little gray area, and I'm gonna zoom in to see what it's doing. It's not doing it enough, so I'm gonna bring it up some more. I'm gonna click here. Okay, I got some of it. Let's see if I add this, what happens. Oh wait, never mind, that's contiguous. All right, let's do, yeah, we need it to be contiguous. So let's go back, let's just bring it down a little bit, not quite 35%. Let's say, let's pick right here first. All right, so that got all of those. And then I'm going to hold down Shift and pick those. And that kind of brought it out a little bit further. It's catching all those things in there. So you can take areas out with the selection brush tool. A lot of times I'll use that. And if you hold down the Shift key, wait a minute, nope, the Alt key, you can pull it out. So I don't want any of this to be in that selection, any of the cloud stuff. So I'm going to go in here and knock this stuff out. I don't want the cloud stuff in there. Also, if you hold down spacebar, you can do a little grab, and then let go of the spacebar. Hit that Alt key again. Take out the stuff that I don't want it to delete. And let's zoom out. Okay, so that's just the edges. Now I'm going to hit delete. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go to the pixel selection tool, and I'm going to grow my selection. I'm going to zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. So right now it's just going to grab where it is, but I'm going to grow that a little bit to take some of that image out to make sure that we don't have any of these gray things. All right, so now I'm just going to hit delete. Now you'll notice that edge is gone. So once we do that, we have a clean transition to black all around it. And what you'll have to do is right click on that layer and pick rasterize and trim. So it'll go ahead and turn that into a solid image. And I'm going to call this, call this color plate for now. Okay. And if we turn off this, I'm going to rename this to black. If we turn off this black background layer, you can kind of see where the color is by itself. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to highlight both of those, right click on there and say duplicate. And with them still selected, because there's copies of them down here now, I'm going to right click on both of those, say merge selected. And I'm going to say this is merged. Okay, and then I'm going to turn off that color plate and turn off that black plate for now. And now what you see is a fully merged image that's got the color and the black put together. Next thing I'm going to do is click this black plate, right click and pick new pixel layer, or you can click this button down here, and I'm going to call this magenta, and there's a reason for that. Let me turn this off so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to this flood tool, and I'm going to go to the swatches and pick a bright magenta like that. And okay, so let me move this down out of the way because we don't need more. So now these are the ones we're dealing with: the merged image, the magenta, and the black plate. Okay, so now while I'm on the merged plate, this is where we start to deal with how to get the color out. We're going to put this in a black shirt, so I'm going to pick this flood select tool, and I'm going to be trying to pull out the black from this image. I'm going to uncheck contiguous on this instance. I'm going to turn the tolerance up to 4, and then I'm going to click on the bar somewhere so I can see my cursor when I get into the image. I'm going to kind of zoom into this area and pick the black. Now you'll notice it went in and grabbed some other things in here. I'm going to hold down my shift key and try to add some more of that. So let's grab this black. So now we have all of those pixels that it has selected for black. Okay. Now, if I were just to delete these black pixels right now, it will give us the wrong kind of edge. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now so you can see what we're talking about. And if I zoom in here, you see these gray pixels? Watch what happens when I turn this magenta plate on. Now they're magenta gray. They're not gray anymore. And that's because those are now semi-transparent pixels, and we don't want that. So let's Control Z to get back where we were. Okay. And now I'm getting ready to show you how to get sharper edges. While this is selected, we go to the refine. Make sure you're on that merge layer. Pick refine, and once it kind of does its first look at the image, what it's doing is it's identifying in red that kind of reddish color is all the stuff it's keeping. So what we want to do is undo matte edges, undo the border width, undo the ramp to negative, and make sure matte pixel is down to 1. I think it defaults up to like 50, but bring it down to 1. Now when we do that and hit apply, it changes the way the delete happens. Okay, so let me zoom out a bit. So all of these selected pixels now are going to be the t-shirt color. So let's hit delete. Now if I undo the selection by doing Control D and zoom in, you start seeing something's different about these pixels, right? And when I turn on magenta, the edge colors don't change because they're not affected by the magenta anymore, because they are not semi-transparent. They're all opaque. So that gets you the image that will print to your DTF printer. So kind of to demonstrate that the image still looks great, we'll turn on this black, and you can see the image still looks wonderful. I mean, it still looks very, very good. But then when you turn that black off, you can see where all this white is now is where breathability can happen through the shirt. That will help the shirt breathe way better. Now, I will say this, that as I'm looking at this, you might want to go in and add some more. Maybe you want to take this gray right here out. You can do that. You just select it, go to your refine mask and all those things, and then you can delete it. Make sure you've got the merged layer selected when you do that. In order to get just this part of the image right here exported for your printer, you got to be very careful, because sometimes the software leaves some artifacts. Okay, so we're going to do a couple tricks. One is we're going to grab this rectangular marquee tool, and we're going to go outside the bounds of our page and draw us a rectangle right kind of close and hit delete. And we're going to do it again, each side all the way around. We'll do it again over here, delete. I'm going to do it one more time, but on this side instead of the top, and hit delete. Now, hopefully this got rid of the artifacts, and what we can do, if that is true, is we should be able to click that button there, hit the crop button, and it surrounds our image. And once we do that, we can literally hit enter, and now it has cropped that layer to that image. Once that's selected, you can hit file and hit export, and then hit export again. And you notice it's picking that whole background. We don't need that. We just want that image there. So what you can do is down where it says area, you go down to selection only, and it'll do a little calculating, and then that'll give you that. And then that you can hit the export button and do all the things. So there you have it. That's how you get clean edged DTF with the shirt background color pulled out, knocked out, ready for uploading to your DTF supplier or your printer if you have one, without worrying about semi-transparent pixels. Again, this is Herb from Jackson Graphics, or DTF.Jackson Graphics, where we will print your graphics for you if you just upload it to our system. And it was a pleasure talking to you today, and I hope this tutorial will help you get clean DTF from now on. Thanks.